And we're back after our break with our next speaker, Tim from Massive Miniteam. And he's now telling us a little bit about the missteps in game development. The stage is yours.
Yeah, good. Hi, welcome. Okay, let's see if it works. So, this talk is basically about how this four people turned into this group of people. So this is a picture from last year. This is roughly our team. Not everyone is on there because in times of remote work, it's a bit hard to get everyone in the office at the same time. So this is like 2/3 of the team right now. The first picture is from 2018. This picture is from last year. And I'm going to explain and just share our experiences, what we did in the last couple of years, how we get to this. So I don't want to go in here and tell you how things should be done. It's more like I talk what worked for us, what didn't work for us, how we managed to get through the pandemic and all this stuff. And maybe you can take some stuff away for yourself. Maybe don't. Let's see. Up to you a bit. So first a little bit about us. Okay. Massive Miniteam was founded 2018 here in Cologne. Our first office was in the Cologne Game Lab, then we moved to the Cologne Game House, and now we're based in Pulheim, which is there a little bit on the outskirts of Cologne. We are part of THQ Nordic, Embracer, and Handy Games since 2021, so for like roughly 2 years now. Embracer is a big Swedish group. Gearbox is part of our group, so we're roughly 11,000 people right now. Worldwide, and we just a very small indie studio inside THQ Nordic. So we right now are 28 people. We are still growing. We started the pandemic like 2.5 or 3 years ago. 3 years, right? With 8 people, and now we're 28. So we grew quite a bit, and this had some challenges, which I also come to. And right now the 28 people are split into 2 teams. We have one team for game development and we have one team for porting games, meaning bringing games from PC to console, mainly for other indie developers who are being published by Handy Games or THQ Nordic. So I quickly started with our origin story before we founded the studio and why we founded the studio. So the co-founders met at Vibrant Core in Bonn. We made Space Rift, a much too big game for a small team. It was a VR title. So we had our first experience with crunch and with like a lot of work and scope issues. So scope is always an issue for us even now, but later. Then we did some console porting for Type of Man. So this was also our first touching points with console porting. So we got some hit the ground running and ported Type of Man to consoles. And then we did another VR game, Squishies for Brainseed. So roughly the same studio, which got picked up by Sony later. During the development of Squishies, we noticed, I don't know, this is not the studio we would like to work in. We would like to do our own stuff and do our own studio, and how hard can it be? I mean, we knew it will be hard. It was more like, okay, let's try it. We don't have much to lose. So we started our own studio and said, okay, let's go. So we founded our company, and based on our experiences, it was like we're a team of 10 to 15 people. Then the project was done. Then we scaled down to 5. Then we went up to 10. Then we went back down to 5. So this up and down and seeing people going in and going out was a bit annoying. And we wanted to make and build something which is sustainable and where people can. It's a job in the end, and where people can have a job and have a life and have a family and can just start building their life. So we said, okay, we're gonna do it a bit different. So we basically started the company and split into 2 parts, roughly. It wasn't split into people, it was more like we have 2 pillars where we based on. We have like contract work, which we make apps for clients. This was basically everything VR, gamification, everything possible. Like everything which brings in money and which has roughly something to do with maybe 3D or 2D, but it doesn't matter. It just, as long as it pays the bills, it's fine. And from the money we make with the contract work, we try to make our own games. So it wasn't, we didn't want to make like a hit game. We didn't start like, oh yeah, let's make the World of Warcraft killer with 5 people. This was never the idea because this probably won't work. And we never saw it working. So we said, okay, let's take it safe, maybe take it a bit German, and go the safe route and just build a business step by step. Since then, those changed. Like the logo is not the logo anymore. And also what we do is also a bit changed. But we don't want to be, we still want to be sustainable, and we don't want to rely on a hit game. This is still there. We don't make any client work anymore because we're now part of Embracer, so we have a different background, a bit more funding. But this was different in the early days. When back then we planned our financial stuff for like the next 2 years, and like we could see like the next 6 months was also very safe. And we never planned with any amount of money from any game. So Spitlings, our first game, was all the time in our venture planning with 0 money. So we tried to live from the contract work, and everything else is just a bonus. So this is our office in October 2017. Before we founded the company, this was in the Cologne Game Lab on the 4th floor. Not sure how many students from the Cologne Game Lab are here. So I guess we were first who moved into this place. And the tables, the chairs, was not ours. We got it from the TH Köln. The only thing which belongs to us in the image is like the business card and the bottle of champagne. So this is what we could afford because we started basically with 0 money. Yeah, this was it. So we went to all the events. Basically, when I can just give like one suggestion, what we can do to get started is like go to all the events. It was a bit hard in the last 2.5, 3 years, but we went to every event, not even game events, just every event possible to just network and meet people and find potential clients. And this was a bit hard because sometimes you go out and you have 10 events and 10 events just suck. You don't make any lead, any new client. And in the 11th event, you get a very big client, which makes the 10 events before worth it. This happened with Volkswagen. So we did like an app for them where you can get the news car, the Touareg, put it in your driveway and see how it works out. And this project was interesting, got in a lot of money, like 100K for us for 3 months of work for 3 people. We have a lot of stories to tell from them, which we should not tell maybe in public, but we learned quite a lot how big corporations work. It was interesting to see this going. It was a different world because I was used to more startup stuff before and smaller companies, and it was interesting to see how big companies operate. So we used this money and we used some funding from the Filmmedienstiftung to make our own game. This was a top-down 2D roguelike. So we worked like, I don't know, half a year on contracts to get enough funding for the game. We then got the funding, and we started our game, hired a few people, and the game wasn't fun to make. It was really horrible, and this was a bad time for us. This was roughly end of 2018, where we had like, hey, we can now make our own game. We have now enough funding to spend a few months with a few people on this game, and it wasn't fun at all. It wasn't our game. It didn't work out. It wasn't fun to play. Nothing worked. So we were a bit devastated. Because we spent so much time and our dream was just to make this game, and then it wasn't fun. So okay, so we were a little bit down. So we went back during the time and did some more contract work. This was for Daimler and Head Trip. We made like fire safety training in VR. I'm not sure if any one of you had done a fire safety training. It's mandatory for companies. We did it. It's a bit stupid how it's done, and this was quite nice. But we also built the hardware, and building hardware is quite challenging if you want to do it on scale. So every button you can press on the fire extinguisher was shown in VR, and you can use it, and it was just a lot of work. And then they asked like, hey, that's a very great product, can we have more, like 40? We're like, no, one takes us weeks to do. We cannot even do a second one. So this basically, this project died because our idea was like, first we do like contract work and sell stuff to clients, and then we white label it, meaning we put like a different label on it and just sell it again for a different client. Wasn't possible here, but we did some more stuff, and then we found like a partner who did hardware for us, and then we did a lot of stuff for Disney, for Marvel, for Porsche, for Daimler, DHL, everything. Comic-Con, we did a lot of stuff. So they did hardware, we did software, and together we had like a business running to get some money in. We started to build so we got a lot of money from the event business, which was a problem at some point, which we didn't know about. So this was 2019, early 2020. So we built our own business, and it was bringing in revenue, enough revenue to fund our game development. And we had events running, for example, Toyota, and every event they do, every 2 or 3 weeks, it brought in a couple of thousand euros. So this was nice, and it got running. And event business was our plan to fund our game development. We also made some smaller apps like this one this one more gamey. So coming back more to games again, we also made games for clients. This is for insurance company to teach children how not to die on the streets. This was more fun to make. We spent maybe a bit too much at some parts of the game, but yeah, this was fun. And during the contract work, at some point we started prototyping our own game. It was more like an internal game jam. Maybe find another idea what we can make. Michael, our other co-founder, pitched Spitlings. He said he needs 2 people for 4 weeks to finish the game. This was 2018, I guess, and the game released 2021. So it was, no, 2022 the first time. So it was like long 4 weeks we took to make the game, and maybe a bit more than 2 people. So we showed the game, so we wanted to make it just as a fun getaway. Back at the time, 2018, people asked, hey, want to show the game at Gamescom? We said, no, we don't have a game. But then they also asked later, like, hey, DevCom has some open slots. And back then, when they asked for DevCom, we had a game. So we showed this game on DevCom with no intention, because it was for us just a prototype from a game jam, just wanted to have some feedback on it, and the plan was basically to maybe put an itch.io or just let it die or whatever, but not make a real game out of it. Then we won like the audience and the jury award. So from 2 awards, we won both, and people really liked it. So I was like, okay, maybe we should invest more time making a game out of it. So we went back, talked to publishers, had like, I don't know, 50 publishers talking to us, got quite far in some negotiations. Almost so far that we can sign a contract, but then it fell flat and in the last minute basically, so it was very annoying. Took us half a year or even longer to talk about this. So after half a year, we knew we have a good game, it was fun, people like it, but publishers weren't picking it up for different reasons. Some people, the game was almost finished, so some people said, no, the game is, you're too far in the development, and the overhead for publishing one project is too much for us. Because we would invest more money to get a bigger share and everything. So there was stuff like this happening, very weird reasons sometimes. Because we didn't ask for much money, we more asked for like, hey, please give us marketing, we need a push to bring a game out. So this didn't work out, but then in February we met Handy Games in Zurich at Ludicious.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, we met them, we made an appointment with them, very small trade show. They had to stand in line to get to the appointment for like 45 minutes, which was a good sign, because so they knew there was an audience who wanted to play the game. Luckily, we had like a Switch dev kit with that, where we put the game running on the Switch, and we can just give them the Switch here, you can play it, you don't have to stand in line. And this, I guess, was a selling point for them, because Handy Games is trying to bring out games on every platform at the same time. Like have your eggs in multiple baskets. And yeah, so when we said, okay, the game is already running on all the platforms, like all the consoles, and we can do console porting, they're like, oh yeah, it's very good. So we signed a contract in March with them and did Spitlings. Our plan then was like, okay, because they said you should have a story and some other stuff, because what we wanted to do was more like an arcade game, like leaderboards and just a few high scores and everything. And they said, no, you should put a single player campaign in, some story, and you get money for it. We said, yeah, okay, it's fine. So we got more money for like making the game for half a year roughly. So we said, okay, finally the games are bringing in revenue, so we can focus a bit more on games. We started to hiring a few people. So this was the time where we grew from 4 to 7 people then to make Spitlings. During summer, they approached us and asked like, hey, there's this Google thingy coming called Stadia, it's a streaming platform, and they ask if you want to have Spitlings as an exclusive on this platform. And we said, yeah, sounds great. What's the deal? And they said, yeah, here's a bunch of money, and they want to have online multiplayer from day one, and they also pay for the porting and for the development and everything. So we got a bunch of money, way more than the development costed so far, which was nice, because this means the game was exclusive for half a year. And we got day one without selling any copy. We were on the plus already. So we never planned to make actually money with our games. But thanks to Google and the Stadia team, we made money on day one without selling a single copy, which was a bit weird. The Stadia porting was fun. It was nice. It was a new platform. They didn't plan for indie devs. So we were in the Cologne Game House, shared office space, and they delivered us a dev kit. And the dev kit normally is like, I don't know if you know it, it's like a normal console, looks a bit different, it's fine. Dev kit for Stadia is a server, and the server is as loud as a jet engine. and we were in a shared office, and it was confidential. It's a bit hard to run a jet engine in a shared office without any other people noticing it. So we couldn't run it, so we had to run in the cloud, which was made everything much more slower and annoying. But it was fine in the end. We released the game in February 2020. All good. So we had our first game out. We had a good deal with Stadia. We can work on the console ports. The event business was picking up, so we were making money from events, and everything was going great. And we were so happy during this time. So we hired a few more people, and we had a lot of fun. And the plans, everything was great. But this thingy happened in March, and having a global pandemic where you have to stay at home and relying with 60 or 70% of your revenue on the event business is not a good combination. So back then we thought like, okay, how long might it take? 4 weeks, we stay at home, then we can go back to the life before and everything is fine. So we were like, okay, let's shorten our planning time a bit for like 4-6 weeks from 6 months. And we said, okay, the event business is picking up in a few weeks, so we just have to get through the next few weeks. Yeah, this didn't happen. I guess now 3 years later we see the events are starting back again, but for us it's too late. After a few weeks or months we realized we have to get money from somewhere else, and we have always been good at porting games. So we started offering this to different publishers and different indie developers. So this is right now 9 games. We ported, 18, 20 for all the consoles, Stadia, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox, whatever, Switch. So everything console related. We got quite good at this one. It was a bit slow in the beginning, but in the end we made more money with porting than we made with the event stuff. So we never went back to events. We never went back to the non-gaming clients. So we could completely move into gaming, porting, build our own dedicated team for this. This was good, and we are still doing this. It's quite fun. We learned quite a lot. So yeah. So then Handy Games and THQ approached us. And they asked like, hey, we have this IP, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? It's a TV show in America. It's like children from school going against grown-ups and see who is smarter and who isn't. It was nice. Then we made the game. We got a lot of money for it, a good budget, so we can finally build our QA department, audio department. We can, because before we made more 2D stuff, we can hire a 3D department. Concept arts, proper game design, so we can move from Unity to Unreal, so it gave us a lot of funding just to build up a certain amount of structures you might need for a studio of this size. And also it was like a game for a quiz show, so it's not the most exciting game to make, so you don't stay long in the evening and say, okay, let's play another round, I Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, because for testing you have like, 25 questions, and at some point you know all the answers, so you cannot even play even if you want to, because it's just boring. But because it was a quiz show, we know what we're doing, so there was not much an issue of like, okay, what are we actually doing? Prototyping or pre-production was easy because, yeah, we knew. So during a pandemic, this was quite nice because, it took the creative part was not that challenging. So we did this. During the development at some point, so Handy Games HQ were happy about our progress and about the game. They approached us and like, hey, we would like to give you way more money to make more games with us and bigger budgets. And how does this sound? And we said, yeah, this is great. And then they basically acquired us in early 2021. So we were like, okay, it's fine now. We joined a bigger group. It's a good safety net for us. Since then, it's 2 years now. We don't regret it. It was a good move. So if you have ever the choice, work with THQ Nordic or Embracer, I would do it. They're very nice people. It's very fun working with them. We learn quite a lot by them. Every couple of months, we get together all the studios, and now we can learn from the big guys. So it's quite helpful. So we can talk to people who have studios, 100+ people. So we learn just quite a lot from them. I can just recommend doing this. It was a good step. It helped us quite a lot, and then we used the funding we got from them to work on our own IP, Project Lock. We now have a proper name for the title, but we cannot announce it yet. We might announce it in a few weeks. We have now a team working on this one of roughly 15 to 20 people, budget of 3.5 million. some people of our team don't want to hear this because they shit their pants when they hear the number, because before we worked on a very small indie budget. Now we have a proper budget, and this is what we're doing right now. So the good part is, because we have our porting team, we ship basically games every couple of weeks, basically. So we have a lot of experience of making games and getting them done, basically. We also made like 40 or 50 contract work projects, so we have a lot of experience of getting stuff out of the door. And I guess we can get things done. So we learned quite a lot by doing this game, because fifth grader, I Smarter Than a Fifth Grader was like, it was a TV show, so we know what we are doing. It was a bit more easy. This one is now, hey, we can do everything, but this means also you can do everything. So finding the right, what you actually want to do is quite hard for us. It took us a lot of tries to get it right. So we started the pre-production in March last year. Now we entered production earlier this year, and I guess we changed how we work like 2 or 3 times. So this meaning like every meeting, every format, we changed everything. Just so much change in learning and trying to learn from it. How can we integrate remote work into this one? How can we? It was just a lot. And so what we learned by now is that we have to keep open, have an open mind, because we will learn every day. And yeah, every person we hire changed a bit of the company and the team. It's just challenging. Yeah, that's basically my part. So this is us. I have with me Robert here, our other co-founder. Anything you want to add? I guess there was a microphone at some point.
That is not anymore. I don't know. Like, I guess we can also, like, if you approach us and you're, yeah.
I smashed the microphone. So sorry. Here you go.
That's fine. If you have any like questions or want to talk about like general how we do the project, how we do production, basically with like, I guess it might be interesting for like 15 plus people. What we changed and how we're working, then feel free to approach us. This is like it's gonna like. We could talk about this like 2 hours, I guess. So it's better if you just approach us and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, so yeah, just about us. Robert is a technical director, so he knows everything about code, engine, and whatever. And I have a program background too, but right now I'm in charge of production, HR, IT, finances, so everything which is not part of the project. At some point, people told me, hey, you're just programming every couple of weeks now, please don't program anymore in our projects. So I'm not doing this anymore. So now I do tooling and build stuff and everything else.
You help out.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, please. I will just.
Okay.
No. I think it's not okay. Yeah.
Let's say going from 5 to 7 to 15 to 20. What's the 1 or maybe 2 things that you think helped the most that you didn't think of before you hired those people?
I mean, I can answer this. You would think it's very easy to go from, like, I don't know if you would think that, but like, sometimes you are naive and then you think, yeah, I guess like hiring 3 more people, we need those people, it's obvious. I don't know, like it's, at some point, structures fall apart. So, like we were kinda fortunate that we had some people that we could approach. So we knew some people from, I don't know, like Tech 13 and stuff, like people that actually made the jump from like 15 to something above. And I guess the best, I don't know, like we tackled like structural problems quite early. So we like established how we do meetings, we established rules, we established like people that were responsible for other people. Just because the main problem you have is that like with like 5 to 10 people, or like let's say 5, you don't have a conversation with 2 people that like others don't notice or don't like miss, basically, right? And the more you grow, then you have like discussions and like meetings that people will miss, and you don't have proper information flow. So what we did is like, yeah, stuff like we have an announcement channel. So everything that goes to every people, we make sure that actually goes to every person on the team. And also like, I don't know, production-wise, we did like textbook Scrum at some point. Currently, we are not doing textbook Scrum, just because like stuff drags. Like if you are like 20 people on a project, then stuff drags, and you have to like adjust. And basically, we're currently doing what works for us. And yeah, that is trying to reduce meetings. We do have a lot of meetings, and we are very fortunate that people are in the office for a few days, so we can do like the whiteboard cool stuff. So yeah, we value stuff like this quite.
Yeah, I can add like one-on-ones are very important, and repeating stuff all the time. People don't listen. Sorry. Sometimes just like repeat stuff because some people are here, they are sick, they're at home, whatever, so you just have to repeat. Thank you. Then you can go on.
Yeah, you haven't said it enough until somebody says, yeah, you said this like 5 times.
Yeah.
Any more questions?